Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. This is episode number 56. So if you're watching on YouTube, sorry, excuse my hood. It's a little bit cool right now. It's the end of February in Canada and Ontario, and I'm in my basement and I'm staying warm, and it's pretty good. The rest of the house is pretty warm, but it's a little bit cool. So anyway, I'm staying warm. But this episode is all about love. It's all about podcast love. It's all about the listener love and the viewer love. So I just want to get right into it. The first podcast that I probably want to give a shout out to. I mean, this is kind of a cheesy episode in one way. You might call it a cheesy episode because I'm talking about love and all this stuff, but I absolutely do want to talk about it because it's important, right? So the first podcast that I started listening to really back in 2012, so 8 years now, was the Joe Rogan Experience. I still listen to it all the time. It's different, I go from going waves from when I listen to it more, when I don't listen to it. He has a really big, diverse kind of mix of audience, of guests rather. Audience, I'm sure, as well, but definitely of guests. And it's amazing. So there's everything from science to comedians to MMA fighters to like I said, scientists, physicists and biologists and nutritionists and exercise scientists and Navy SEALs and military of all sorts and everything like that. So it's an amazing podcast. It's been running for I think over 10 years now. I started listening in 2012, and it really quite honestly, it really got me on the right path as far as not the right path as far as like in life, but it helped me get to a better health path. It helped me get to a better state, and helped me along the way for sure, because that got me listening to more and more podcasts. I started listening to more podcasts at work, and then when I started walking, or whether it was I was going to the gym or what it was, over the years, I found that podcasts have really helped me. Like books, like audiobooks, like real books, like certain music for a lot of people. It's really helped me a lot. So Joe Rogan podcast, give him a shout out, Joe Rogan. Have me on your show one day, Joe. Love you, buddy. The next one that I want to talk about, really, I'm going to get into a bunch of things about nutrition and diet and things like that. The next one is called Carnivore and Beyond. It's really interesting. It's the gentleman's name is Phil ESCOTT. Check him out. It's a really new podcast. It's about kind of spirituality, but mixing the spirituality and I guess mixing the idea of still being spiritual and still being mindful without that cringy word spirituality sometimes, mixing that with the idea of eating meat and realizing that meat, quite possibly for a lot of people, is the answer to their health problems, and how we don't have to be ashamed of eating meat. And not only that, we don't have to be, it's not necessarily a better thing to not eat meat. And a lot of people get kind of the idea of trapped into thinking that, they're necessarily better off or at a higher kind of ethical plane because we're not eating meat. And he talks about that and many, many other things with other guests, but check him out, Carnivore and Beyond, wherever you get your podcasts. The next one I want to talk about is the Fundamental Health podcast. So that one is with Paul Saladino. Dr. Paul Saladino is really cool. A carnivore MD, calls himself, but he brings a lot of clinical experience, research, and then a lot of anecdotal evidence as well. But clinical experience, he's a doctor. He sees this every day from patients. He's a kind of a carnivore doctor. He suggests and he promotes, and he really kind of tries to unpack the idea of eating a carnivore diet, right? Nose to tail, everything, organs and bones and everything to get all the nutrients you need. He's got a really cool podcast. He has awesome researchers and doctors and people from all over the place on that podcast. Maybe I'll be on the podcast one day, but check him out. He's got a book out as well called The Carnivore Code, talking about just the idea of how not only can we possibly just survive off just eating meat, but possibly even that may be the optimal diet for us. We may be thriving off meat. And he is an example, and I think I'm an example of someone who's thriving off of a high meat diet. Basically, I'm a carnivore, 100% or 99% or 95%. I think he considers himself even more than that. But he's like one of those doctors that is doing that. So check him out as well. He's really cool. Carnivore Code is his book. And his podcast, Fundamental Health Podcast, very, very cool. So the next one is the Human Performance Outliers podcast. That one is with Zach Bitter and Dr. Shawn Baker. Dr. Shawn Baker, you probably have heard of him. If you're listening to me, you may have heard of Joe Rogan podcast. Of course, if you're listening to Joe Rogan podcast, you may have seen Shawn Baker or heard Shawn Baker on the podcast. He is awesome, man. He is like 51 or 52-year-old orthopedic surgeon, breaking records in the rowing. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's doing these crazy box jumps with weights in his hands. He's doing these crazy walks up and down, super a lot of weight. He's doing stuff that people half his age are would beg to would kill to do, and he's doing it, and he's crushing it, and he's really smart. He's a researcher. He's got a no bullshit attitude, and he's got this attitude that we need to fight back with the propaganda. And I agree with him as well. I mean, he's got an amazing platform. I have my little platform too, and I'm gonna bang my drum too, right? But he's got an amazing platform. But he has the same idea that a lot of people, how a lot of other people have as well. And it's, let's stop the BS. Let's stop the lies with why meat eating or not eating meat, and shaming people that eat meat. Why that's not going to save the world. It's not going to save the world. It's not going to save the air. It's not going to save the water. It's not going to save anything. It's like the Savory Institute and everybody in that kind of space says it's not the cow, it's the how. So I love him for that, and all these guys. I want to show them some love. Zach Better. Zach's amazing as well on that podcast. He's a U.S. world record holder for I believe it's a 100-mile race, indoor, outdoor, track, trail. He's amazing. Those guys together, they show that you can do both sides of the spectrum: the strong, that glycolytic, explosive exercise that rowing is, or Olympic lifting is, what he does, and things like a lot of things like that. Like, you need that explosive, that strength, right? And you can do that on a all meat diet, on a carnivore diet. Zach Bitter, maybe not all carnivore diet, but he's definitely a keto diet, ketogenic in certain times. And certain times he uses high carbohydrate, but it's always relative to the rest of his diet. But he does basically a high meat diet as well. And this guy's running 100 miles at a time and breaking records and everything. So it's an amazing podcast because it shows kind of both ends of the spectrum. I know when I first started listening to, or even just dabbled into the ketogenic space, or the paleo into the ketogenic space, a lot of the pushback was, well, how are you going to do aerobic events, or how are you going to do long distance running on this, where you need glucose for fuel? And it turns out that it's better if you use fat for fuel as opposed to glucose, right? You're going to have a lot more stores. Makes sense. If you're going to run 100 miles, which is insane, you are going to do that. You're going to be able to do that tapping into your fat anyway. So you might as well get adapted to that and do it better. So it's an amazing podcast, Zach Bitter and Dr. Shawn Baker, Human Performance Outliers. Dr. Shawn Baker actually has a book out as well called The Carnivore Diet. Check that out. Next one is a doctor's pharmacy. So Dr. Mark Hyman is a really cool doctor. He's got a lot of cool ideas. I don't agree with everything he says, of course, but he's got a lot of cool ideas. He has the book called Eat Fat, Get Thin. Excuse me. And he's got some new perspectives, and he brings a lot of the same kind of methodology to ancestral eating, natural food, whole foods, where a lot of these guys are going to differ. Sometimes we're going to be on the nuance of how much meat. If you are going to eat meat, how many other nutrients do you need? Do you need to supplement with other things? Most of the guys I listen to, most of the doctors I listen to, are following, or whether they're plants or whether they include plants or not, they're following the idea that you want to have the least amount of toxins and the most amount of real food, least amount of processing as well. One more thing I want to say back about the Fundamental Health Podcast, Paul Saladino. He's very, very big on not just eating plants or not just eating animals because they're beneficial, but eliminating plants for certain reasons, and they may be detrimental to your health as well. So check him out, Paul Saladino, The Carnivore Code. Okay, back to the doctor's pharmacy, Dr. Mark Hyman. Again, he wrote the book, Eat Fat, Get Thin. Very cool. He promotes a ketogenic diet. He promotes the idea that we need to be metabolically flexible. We need to be able to tap in and out of that ability to burn fat for fuel. It's great to say, yes, I want to burn that ability. I want to get into that ability or maintain that ability. So you want to be able to exercise and maintain that flexibility. But if you do it on a regular basis by your diet is the most, in my opinion, it's the easiest way to influence your daily life, right? It's what you're doing 3 times a day, or 2 times a day, or 1 time a day, or 5 times a day, or 6 times a day. It depends on what your goals are. It depends on what you've been told. But it's one of those things that you're always influencing, and you're always, it's always impacting your life because you're always touching it, right? It's always something going on. You're always eating. You're always putting something in your mouth. That means there's something going on. There's chemicals in that. There's nutrients. There's molecules. And when everything you take in, your body does something with it, right? So whether you use it for good or whether you use it for He's going to try and use everything for good, right? But if it knows what to do with it, that's the key. So check him out. Check out that book too, Eat Fat, Get Thin. It's a very cool book. It's got a picture of an avocado on the front. Promotes that high fat. Very cool. Ben GreenField Fitness. So Ben is an awesome biohacker. He does everything. He tests everything. He tries everything. He researches. He's this Iron Man, like Tough Mudder, that is super elite Spartan type racing type of guy. Super high intensity. He does everything. He tries everything. He does like light therapy. He does cold immersion. Cold immersion therapy, I guess. Yeah, heat, cold, all that stuff. Check him out. He's got a really cool podcast. Yeah, Ben GreenField Fitness, I believe it's called. Ben GreenField. Next is the Healthy Rebellion Radio. So this is a newer one for Robb Wolf. Robb used to have the Paleo Solution podcast, I believe. But he wrote the book. So him and Nikki have this amazing podcast. Him and his wife Nikki have this amazing podcast. Robb wrote the book, the Paleo Solution. I read that back, I don't want to say over 10 years ago, and almost 10 years ago, really. And he, and that was kind of the first thing that really got me into, really got me into the paleo, the ancestral eating of the no processed foods or minimal processed foods, the idea of this carbohydrate, driven, that came after I started listening to Robb Wolf and reading about Robb Wolf, or the Paleo Solution rather, through Robb. Actually, Robb Wolf was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Shawn Baker was on the Joe Rogan podcast. So there's a theme there. I mean, he's very influential, Rogan, and he's bringing a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things on the Rogan podcast that I don't follow, right? A lot of comedians, a lot of whatever. But it's been very interesting. And Robb Wolf is, and Nikki, his wife, they bring a lot of awesome kind of real world experience. Robb is an awesome, he's a researcher. He's a hacker as well. He'll try everything. And him and his wife really, they really experiment. They do things like, continuous glucose monitoring to see what it's like. They do things like, not only just check not only just kind of monitor what they eat, but monitor how it feels and what it does for them, like very meticulously. And they share that on their podcast weekly thing, on a daily episodes, or every couple of days. So check them out. Check his podcast out. Check his book out. Send him some love. He's amazing. Robb Wolf and Nikki Violetti, I believe the last name is. But check them out. Yeah. What else can I say about them? I mean, he promotes the eating as much natural food as possible. He promotes the ancestral kind of way of let's removing things from our diets and seeing if that works for us. He's into martial arts, and he's into a bunch of other things. And a lot of these other doctors too, a lot of these other healthcare or nutritional professionals or healthcare professionals, they're also into movement. They're also into healthy living. So I really like that, because it's combining nutrition with all of this stuff. Right? It's not just focusing on food, because that can be pretty obsessive as well. But it's the combination of doing this or eating this way in this kind of methodology or philosophy to help you live an optimal life, right? It's to these doctors and these researchers and these authors, they're trying to promote, and they do promote, healing, right? And there's a lot of people healing from this. A lot of people are getting really, really great results. So now the next one, next two guys I want to talk to, they have YouTube channels, and they're really prolific on YouTube. They have a lot of videos out there. First one is Dr. Ken Berry. He's out there. He's on YouTube. He does a lot of good videos. He has explanations from everything from what diabetes is to what is insulin resistance, and how can you lower your blood sugar, and how can you, what a carnivore diet is good for, what a keto diet is good for. He's got very good explanations. What is a keto diet? Check him out, Dr. Ken Berry. Send him some love. He's on YouTube. He's great. Next doctor, Dr. Adam Nally, another one, Doc Muscles. He's on YouTube as well. He's known as Doc Muscles, but it's Dr. Adam Nally. He was on a podcast, Keto Talk, for a while. He's not on that anymore, but he's a really cool doctor. Again, a real doctor, just like Dr. Ken Berry. They have practices in the US, and they do online consultations, but they're real doctors really helping people all over the world. So check them out. They're on YouTube. Yeah. All right. We'll be back in a minute. We're going to take a quick break. Next segment. All right, guys. So we're back. So I want to do a new section. Sorry, it's not a new section, but it's an old section I want to bring back. I haven't done it in a long time, but it's basically, where are you now, or where are you listening from? I have this on the app that I record with, Anchor, or the service rather. I can see kind of where all the listeners from. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody. Again, Thank you. A million thank yous for your listens, for your likes, for your comments. Thank you. Keep on sending the questions in. Excuse me. I love the questions. I love the comments. I love everything. I love the engagement. So let's go. Canada, of course, number one. Thank you, Canada. I love you so much. My home. 67% of you listeners are from Canada. So thank you. United States, you're next. Awesome. Thank you so much. 25%. We have Australia coming in next, and then we have United Kingdom, and then I'm going to kind of rhyme them off. Rather. There's a lot of interesting countries here that I never would have thought have listened to the podcast or would have listened to the podcast. So just want to kind of give a shout out and see if I can pronounce them right. And it's kind of a fun thing for me because I did this a while back, probably about a year ago. So anyway, Australia, the UK, United Kingdom, South Africa, Russia, India, Vietnam, Germany, Norway, Republic of Lithuania, Philippines, Indonesia, Kenya, Portugal, France, Ukraine, Bangladesh, Sweden, Thailand, Turkmenistan, Guam, Croatia, Finland, Spain, Colombia, Pakistan, Algeria, Egypt, South Korea, Greece, Morocco, United Arab Emirates, New Zealand, Chile, Romania, Hong Kong, and Netherlands. That's pretty cool, guys. Like, thank you so much. That's a lot of countries that I never would have thought would have ever listened. But it's very cool. Thank you. And I'm going to continue to give you top quality as best as I can. Anyway, so this section again, just again, I want to wrap up this episode. It's not going to be a very long episode, but I really want to just talk about all the love and all the inspiration, or where I get the inspiration from. And I do get it from listeners. I get it from, like I said earlier in the episode, the first segment, the podcast listeners that I do, or the podcast authors and speakers and book authors that I listen to, and the doctors, I get inspiration from them because they're talking about, and they record, and they are publishing now, and they're trying to fund studies now that are showing that what we've been told, right, and we've been under the assumption in many cases that animal foods are bad for us and are causing our disease. It's looking like it couldn't be further from the truth, right? There's been a narrative in the last couple of decades, guys, and I know you understand it. If you think about it, talk to the people that are older than you, and you see it every generation, this last couple generations, we've been trying to say that meat is bad. Why? We've been actually eating less and less meat over the years, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, right? We've been eating less saturated fat over the last 20, 30, 40 years. What are we eating more of? Sugar, processed, ultra processed, refined carbohydrates, right? So we know, as well as a recap, that high carbohydrate and high fat is a recipe for disease. It's not good. And not only is it a recipe for disease, it's a recipe to make everything worse. That's why we don't want to do that, right? So remember, the best way to do it is the best way to motivate yourself is to hear about these stories, read about these stories, see these stories, and know that they are real. Like, they're not, I mean, like, I'm a type of guy where I'm here, and believe me, there's real money in this. Yeah, one day. But what I'm saying is that there's ways, there are people that are wanting to talk about this, and me, I'm one of those guys. There's millions of us, there's thousands of us that are out there kind of banging our drum because we've seen what it's done for us, and we've seen what it keeps on doing for us. And we just want to, share the love. So other than that, I get inspiration every day from, like I said, comments, my friends, my family, my coworkers at work, where they're saying, I have a question for you, Carlo, or cool, I saw that clip you showed on Facebook, or your push-ups in the morning I saw, and that's motivating me, and I saw this, and it's inspirational, and wow, the transformation. When I post the pictures, it's interesting. Or when I post the videos, I'm not doing it because I'm trying to brag, right? I'm doing it because I'm reminding people. I'm like, hey, you can do this too. You can do this too. Look, right? And it's not like, look at me, but it's let's do this together. Because that motivated me, and that still does motivate me. I watch, I mean, hey, shameless here, but I watch, I see The Rock on Instagram, or I see these guys working out on Instagram, the Bell Brothers, they're lifting a ton of weight. Another podcast that's awesome. I forgot the name of their podcast, but Chris and Mark Bell, check their podcast out. It's about lifting, it's about carnivore and keto, and it's about crushing life and then living it to your extreme. These guys are in their 40s, their 50s, even some of them, and they're just like, they're peaking. Like, they're not even peaking yet. It's amazing. So check them out. So again, motivation, right? Share your stories as well. And I really want to focus, and I really want to emphasize that I mean, this may be cheesy. I mean, I sometimes I get told that, you know, I'm the guy who just wants to say I love you to everybody and thank you to everybody, but I do love you. This is why I'm doing this, right? It is. I'm not saying right. Like I need you to answer that question. I know the reason why I'm doing this, and it's because I want to share this information, and it's energizing for me. It's invigorating for me, and I like it, and it's fun, right? And I just think that it's we need the community. We need support. Like I always say the same thing. I'm going to say it again. This is the episode of love. This is the episode where I'm going to remind you that it's your friends, it's your family, it's your coworkers, it's the people online. It's, I mean, my God, it's in a weird way, we should never be lonely these days because we have so many people that we can actually reach out to in a digital way. I know they're not next door, and I know you can't always, you know, you can't just reach out and hug somebody, but you know, a kind word or a bunch of kind words or a conversation online or just a telephone call, we can connect to anybody all over the world, or voice as well now, right? So it means a lot. So hopefully this brings something to your life. I know it's doing this adds to my life. And I'm going to keep on doing the good fight. And yeah, that's it. You know, I'm going to keep on sharing this love, like I said, and thank you for it. Reminding you guys to keep on sharing. I'll stop harping on this, but this is the podcast, like I said, about love and how important it is when I do share these photos. And when you share your photos, don't be ashamed of them. Don't be afraid and don't be shy. Share the photos and share the stories. And when you see a share, you know, something that's working, if this podcast is helping you, share this. Like, don't be afraid to share this, even if you're just sharing this because I'm your buddy, or even if you're just sharing this because you went to high school with me, right? Share this. Share this. You may never know. You may help the person that you think may not even listen to this, or may not even watch this, or may think that I'm a bozo. And that's okay. I may be a bozo. You may not like what I'm saying. You may not like how I say it. You might not like how I look. But what if I say something that will help you, even a little bit, right? Good. You don't even have to say thank you. I don't want it. Just good. Go and help and share and tell somebody else, because we're all in this together, folks. We're all in this together. Everybody that I know, whether you have a family, whether you don't have a family, whether you have kids, whether you have a house or whatever, you have the same needs. We all want to put food on the table for the people we love, whether it's ourselves or whether it is our family. We all want to be safe. We all want to be protected, and we all want to have community, right? Excuse me. Community will help us through everything, every stage in our life. Through childhood, community is important. It takes a village to raise a child. Yes. It takes a village to not only raise a child, it takes a village to raise a human, right? And to support and fully love a human through our whole lives. As children, we're needed. Daycares and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and all that stuff, that all builds us. It's all what forms us, right? And we go to school, and your friends, your classmates, your teammates, you start playing sports or whatever. It's martial arts or dance or swimming, or you're on the whatever team it is, and then college, and then it's and then you after college and all this stuff. It's always about community. We need people. Some people like to be alone. That's fine. But if you don't want to be alone, there's a lot of people out there. There's 7 or 8 billion people in the world, I think. So last time I checked, I keep a close count. But it's community. It's going to help you get through any path in your life, but also any time period in your life, but also the challenges in your life, right? Not just the good times, but the bad times as well. And not just the bad times. You should share these things with the good times, or during the good times. And it really is, the best outcomes, outcomes on people's prognosis for, diseases and different things they have to go through. It's always better when they're feeling loved, when they're feeling supported, when they have a positive attitude. And you have a better chance of feeling positive if you're around people who love you and people who you love. So in closing, pretty short episode tonight, but just want to again recap all those podcasters, all those authors that help me and inspire me on a daily basis through YouTube, through Instagram, through all of these things. Again, don't forget, check me out, Instagram, Fatso Radio, at Fatso Radio. At Fatso Radio is the podcast, again, on your favorite podcast app. Our Facebook page is Fatso Radio. Instagram, I believe, is Radio Fatso, backwards. Not Instagram, sorry. Twitter is Radio Fatso, a little backwards there. Again, this episode is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. Don't forget to check them out, volpemartialarts.com, for more details. You can take advantage of their 2-week free trial. Check them out. Sifu Adam, my brother. Also, papaearth.ca. Papa Earth is a meat delivery system, local meat, Canadian meat delivered to your door. check them out. Ontario and Alberta, I believe. Check them out. And again, thank you, everybody. Email me, fatsoradio@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions for the show, if you have any buddy you know that wants to be on the show, or if you want to be on the show, email me. Let's set it up. We can do Skype, we can do Zoom, no matter where you are in the world. Send me your email, send me your contacts information. We'll get in touch. Again, I want to talk to people everybody, first of all, everybody who has something to say, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you because it's not just about me. It's not just about you, right? You want to listen to me, you want to watch me, but you also want somebody else who has their expertise. You want farmers, you want doctors. You give me some suggestions, give me some names. Have them contact me. Their people can contact me. My people is me, believe me. And we'll make it happen. Like I said, we live in this age of technology where it's all around us, and sometimes it's a big pain in the ass, right? But we need to take advantage of it to spread the love and to share the information. And that's what I want to do. So thanks everybody so much. Lily, Violet, take it away, or Lily intro, and Violet's going to take us away at the end. Everybody, peace. I love you all. Fatso Radio.